Hi everyone. Once again, I sincerely welcome you to Spirituality for Dummies. Today, we are going to talk about a concept that is very old but very misunderstood by a lot of people. Yeah, a good old karma. When people hear about the word karma, they usually think of consequences. Like you reap what you sow. You do good, good things happen. If you do bad, bad things happen. For most people, this is where their understanding of karma stops. It stays on a surface level, so karma becomes kind of a moral scoreboard, a system that rewards good behavior and punishes bad behavior. And for me, I used to be confused a lot when I was young. Why does karma always sound so scary? Like looking back, I realize now that life kept showing me the same patterns again and again. At the time, it didn't make sense. I kept wondering, why do these things keep happening? Why does life repeat itself like this? Something didn't add up, but I didn't know what was it. On the other hand, you can hear this surface level understanding in the way of people talk. When someone who has done something wrong finally suffers, people say things like, "Ha, serves him right. Karma finally caught up to him." Notice the tone here. Karma is almost always spoken about with a negative connotation, as if it is some invisible force waiting to punish people. But today, I want to shift that perspective completely. I want to introduce to you a very different way of understanding karma, one that has nothing to do with punishment, but everything to do with awareness. So, what really is karma? The word karma literally comes from Sanskrit kamma, which means action. In a spiritual sense, it also carries the idea of memory. In this case, the memory stored in our body. Sometimes it is called emotional or nervous system memory. For example, look at how many people who grow up in families struggling with poverty are wired to behave in certain ways. Their experiences shape their beliefs, fears, and even how they relate to others. Sometimes this perception gets twisted, leading them to act in ways that bring predictable results, which is the fruit of their learned patterns. Other times, we can also see people act out harm towards others because of their own unprocessed trauma, repeating patterns of fear, control, anger, and even projection to others. And this is karma in action. These memories show up as learned patterns. Every experience we go through, especially the intense or traumatic ones, leaves an imprint in our body and mind. Over time, these imprints shape how we automatically react to situations, what we fear, what we avoid, and even how we relate to others. And because our clouded actions tend to produce the same outcomes repeatedly, it reinforces the inner pattern and creates a self-fulfilling prophecy. That's why some people, myself included, experience the same situations over and over in life. And that's why also karma can feel so scary. Now that we have the full picture of karma, so let's talk about how to break free from it. The short answer: transformation. Transformation means taking those learned patterns, the ones that are imprinted so deeply in us that they operate unconsciously, and bring them into awareness, the light, so we can choose a new response. Carl Jung called these hidden parts of ourselves the shadow. In other words, karma isn't something out there punishing you, it's inside you. And transformation is about consciously reshaping those patterns so it doesn't run its course. Our goal here is to not letting our default learned responses running the course again. Like Carl Jung once said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Yeah, it sounds good at all, but how do we actually transform all these patterns? The first step is awareness. Pay attention to the moments that you react automatically: the fear, the avoidance, the anger, or the ways you protect yourself in the past. These are the unconscious echoes of your karma showing up in real time. And the next step is integration. That means allowing yourself to fully feel and process the emotions stored in your body, rather than pushing them away or pretend they don't exist. It's not about judging yourself for having these patterns. It's about acknowledging them, understanding where they come from, and giving yourself the space to respond differently. And finally comes conscious action. Once you feel and understand these patterns, you can start choosing new responses or writing the old one. Maybe that means setting a boundary, speaking up, or just simply pausing before reacting. Every time you choose and act consciously, you weaken the old pattern and create the possibility for new, healthier one. In short, transformation is karma in reverse. You reverse engineer the karma, meaning taking what that was unconscious and unprocessed and turning it into awareness and choice right here, right now. Now that we know transformation is possible, you might wonder, why does karma exist at all? Why does life keep showing us the same patterns until we notice them? Here's an accurate parable. Think of karma as a system, like a mirror. It exists to bring awareness to what is hidden within us, right? The parts of ourselves that we haven't fully integrated, the things we ignore, repress, or avoid, especially the painful or traumatic experience. They don't just disappear. They'll leave an imprint in our body and mind, and life will keep reflecting them back to us in different ways until we really learn and integrate the lessons need to be learned. Why? It is because our soul actually yearns for transformation, and karma is life's way of nudging us again and again until we finally pay attention and learn the lesson. In other words, karma isn't punishment that a lot of people thought it is. Not at all. It is a system that gives us repeated opportunities to see, feel, and ultimately transform the patterns that live inside us. Without it, most of these unconscious patterns will go unchecked for the rest of our lives. And our soul will never grow from it, never evolve, and never achieve self-awareness. And the best antidote for karmic patterns, it is compassion. Like, imagine someone growing up in a household where love felt conditional, or where fear and anger were common. Over time, their nervous system stores these experiences as patterns, a kind of emotional memory. So they might develop automatic reactions like fear of conflict, people pleasing, or even shutting down when they feel threatened. Now, imagine you're their coworker. Would you really get mad at them if they fumble on the job while panicking? Especially if you really know the full context of their past. On the other side, sometimes people just act out of harm because of their own unresolved trauma. They might lash out, control, or manipulate, repeating the patterns of fear, anger, or insecurity. Sure, they might be pain in the ass, but can you really blame them? That's why Buddha once said, don't try to demand niceness or perfection from people if you don't know the full context. Be understanding. Realize that everybody is just doing the best they can with what they know in the moment. And of course, this goes for ourselves too. Be gentle with yourself when you are trying to break free from karmic patterns. Judging yourself harshly isn't being nice to yourself. It only reinforces the old patterns instead of helping you transform. As the saying goes, what you resist persists. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is called compassion. So, to really sum things up, karma isn't a punishment like people think it is. It is not life trying to get back at you for something you have done in the past. It is just a system, a mirror, a reflection of the parts of yourself that you haven't fully seen yet. It shows up as learned patterns, as repeated experiences, and sometimes as people acting out on their own unprocessed trauma through the lens of fear and ignorance. This is another good way to put it. Think of it like this. If you have been holding on to a butcher knife in your hand, unaware of the danger it brings, life will keep nudging your hand, not to punish you, but to make you notice a knife before it hurts you or anyone else. Karma works the same way. It keeps showing us the patterns we haven't processed, giving us the chance to put down the knife, safely and consciously. The good news? You can totally transform karma. You can become aware, feel what's been stored in your body and mind, and consciously choose a new way to respond, to live. Approach it all with compassion for yourself and for others, and suddenly those scary patterns don't feel so scary anymore. Life isn't trying to punish you. Life is nudging you towards awareness, growth, and ultimately, transformation. And that, my friends, is the real power of karma. Next time, we'll be exploring how karma shows up in your life and how your actions influence it. Trust me, it will be a game changer. So subscribe. Join us in this age of transformation, starting by ourselves. Till next time, bye bye.